Hello and welcome to the next episode of Two Girls Talk Transits. Today we're reviewing the astrology from September 7th through September 13th, 2025, and we're your host. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Kaylee.
Welcome back. So we are going to continue our discussion from last week, which was setting us up for the eclipse. And that's what's happening today on the 7th, which is Sunday, is the full moon and lunar eclipse in Pisces. And so this one is going to kind of be our second Pisces eclipse. So the first one we had was in September of last year, um, mid September. Yeah, you have it on your 17th. And then this one is our second one. And I do think there's going to be similar themes from whatever kind of brought up last year or just like hinted at or what you were working on may come to fruition, may come to light around this eclipse again, or, just those general parts of your eighth and second. Sorry, I was thinking about my chart. Your Pisces and your Virgo. I was like, houses. Um, I was listening to like a podcast earlier too about this eclipse or just in general about the month and like how like we are in Virgo season, but it's like where eclipses tend to merge the two houses that they're in, the axis that it's in, even though these houses generally pose. So like for this chart, we're looking at Virgo season being in the 10th house, but then the eclipse happening in the fourth. So it's like something lighting up in this person's home life and family or living environment is also directly impacting their career. So I think when we're talking about these eclipses, you need to look at both because
Mhm.
they're both in relationship, you know?
Yeah, of course, especially since, we get the opposing solar eclipse like 2 weeks after this. So it's like these
Right.
themes are like highly interlinked. The eclipses don't occur in isolation of, out of the axis. So we have to, yeah, take into account that they majorly um affect both areas. And I think we'll definitely be like more aware of what this axis means, whether it be in our life or just with the like archetypal themes of Pisces and Virgo in general. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so like I think it's helpful to see it from like two lenses, from like what's this bringing up in my chart, like house-wise, and then also like collectively, like what is just the energies of the signs, and how does
Yeah.
that affect things. Um,
Yeah, for me, it was like Virgo is so like analytical, practical, and it's like trying to merge practical matters with Pisces, which was faith and collective emotional energy and trust and like mysticism and magical thinking in that way. Like those two now have to intertwine. And like good point too, like, because we had the Pisces eclipse in September, but we didn't have a Virgo eclipse then. But then we had a Virgo eclipse in March, but we didn't have a Pisces eclipse. So it may have felt like two separate things were going on in your life. And I do feel like in September, you're gonna clearly see how they come together.
Yeah, yeah, I could definitely see that. I think for you, just like looking at your chart in general, like you did mention earlier, like it's happening in your second and your eighth. So
Yeah.
I think like with your own personal finances, you're, meant to be very analytical and, where Virgo is and,
Right.
very critical and data collecting data. But there's something about you relying on somebody else that needs a bit of mysticism and magic and, you kind of like accepting external forces. And it's interesting happening in the financial sphere because
Right.
you and your own money, you think like, oh, money, I have to be so critical and so detailed about it, but with Pisces opposite, like sometimes you may get money like in unexpected sources, or, maybe there's, some kind of Jupiterian aspect to it that, you know.
Yeah, I know. I'm been thinking of that because like the Pisces eclipse when it first happened for me in September, basically I just found out some information about like a loan and shared resources that was like misleading or lied to or like I didn't have the full picture. I didn't actually know what was going on and the eclipse highlighted it to me and it was kind of devastating information. but it
Yeah,
was ruled by a Jupiter and Gemini.
right.
And then the Virgo eclipse in the spring, literally this past year, I have not relied on anybody. I have actually, I used to have shared income and shared resource. I'm none of that anymore. And I'm fully been providing for myself and just fully focused on that second house. And so it is interesting to think like, oh, maybe I will get some relief with this being, ruled by Jupiter and Cancer and like highlighting the eighth house in a different way of like, oh, there's other resources to be relied on instead of just yourself. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think that. Did you raise
Yeah.
your hand?
I didn't raise my hand. I think it saw my hands right here and was like,
Okay.
it's
I
like
was
odd.
just gonna I was just gonna add to that as like
That would be,
you
it's easy.
know, yeah. I was just gonna add that though, like this eclipse though is making an aspect to Jupiter as well, like a very positive aspect to Jupiter. And I just think that's going to hopefully feel like it's helping us in some way. I don't know. Eclipse energy is always very it just
Mhm.
brings out all the shadows.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But you did make such a good point, though. The last eclipse, lunar eclipse that we had in Pisces in September was ruled by that Jupiter in Gemini, and now
Right.
Jupiter in Cancer. So this is going to have a much different flavor as like the ruler is very different because Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. So it should be, less focused on details and maybe more focused on, this like expansive nurturing energy, I think. Yeah, and you did. I'll go ahead and draw the aspects here. So the sun,
Yeah.
a sextile to Jupiter, and then the moon has a trine to Jupiter. And it's not exact by degree, but the moon will, move into exact trine in a couple hours after the eclipse happens. So, um, yeah, I think it will like spark some of this like hopefulness or positivity or like nurturing aspect that maybe we didn't feel with the last eclipse. So
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, just looking at it, like it's just in a much better place. Even in Virgo, Mercury is there in Virgo. And although we do have Saturn back in Pisces, I do think that's interesting. I mean, they're not very close, but they are in the same house, like they're in the same area. Like, so there's still a responsibility with this eclipse of like still having to put more work into something. But it does seem like there's more resources, like you're being supported emotionally by whatever's coming up, and it's actually an important abundance growth point for you or some way. Uh,
yeah, I
yeah,
think
go
yeah, go
ahead.
ahead.
I wasn't
No,
gonna add anything else.
I just think this is the eclipse that, Pisces is very associated with like dreams and like greater ideals and hopes and blah blah blah. I think this is the eclipse that ignites the dream. And when we have the Virgo, it's the implementation, So I think this is very like, yeah, dream oriented, like feeling hopeful, feeling like inspired to move forward in perhaps like a magical way that doesn't have any of the details or like the how
Hmm.
to. And um, as a Pisces, I know how that like opposition to Virgo feels. It doesn't feel great, like when
Right.
Virgo energy comes in and like shoots holes in your plan, but it's more so I think to like really refine and like make sure that you can like move your plan forward. But I think like generally this eclipse season that's going to be kind of like a focal point is taking your ideas that maybe seem outlandish or outworldly or lack grounding and grounding them with the Virgo energy.
Yeah, I think so. Like Virgo is going to be very much like what can you actually manage or control with these streams, and like what can you actually take charge of, and then the rest of it you have to let go or just trust and like release in a way. So,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's kind of all things, right? It's this like
yeah.
universal truth of like, as much as you have planned, you actually don't have anything planned.
No. Yeah, you're actually it doesn't actually matter. Like none of those things, like everything can be thrown off the page if something else happens. Like the universe is working in its totally different way. And yeah, you just have to work within your little bubble, your sphere of influence.
Right. Yeah, definitely, and for sure it might like clue you into like where do you have lack of control or lack of power. Like there might be some
Mm,
event that like speaks to like the greater forces or the unseen in some way that makes you be like, you know what, I could not have like crafted this with like the best skills in the book. Like this has to be some kind of outside force affecting the whole ordeal.
right, right.
Cool.
Oh,
Anything else you
yeah.
want to mention about that?
No, I mean, you can go on. I mean, our next aspects are just gonna talk about it more. So,
Okay. Let me pull up. So I just have there we go. And I need to move us forward to the 11th. Okay, so we have the sun in Virgo sextiling Jupiter on this day. So here's our sun in Virgo. Here's at 19 degrees. And Jupiter in Cancer at 19 degrees. And we have a soft sextile. And I think this will be this might be like amping up some of the energy that we have moving towards the Virgo eclipse, like right after this happens. Like we have a couple days. We have almost, it's probably like 3.5 days before we have our next aspect that's not like a lunar aspect. Um, and, those couple days might be like, kind of feeling the energy that's happened, during the eclipse that we just had. But the first aspect right after it being this, sun sextile to Jupiter, I think, yeah, like I said, like speaks to the upcoming Virgo eclipse. And I think, will be giving us those seeds of like, practical matters or like, this would be a good day of like implementation of a plan. You get the details and you like start gathering some things, making lists. Um, yeah, what do you think?
this is a really good day.
Yeah.
Just in general, I think this is a really this I think this day, if you wanna start something during an eclipse, which ideally you shouldn't, um, but if you have to, you should pick September 11th, because you have the sun sextiling Jupiter, both very positive aspects are on the same team, they're strong, Mercury is exalted, the moon is exalted. And that's just really powerful. So if you can tuck the malefics away and like hidden houses, kind of like this chart, then like this would be a really powerful day to like, I feel like maybe the eclipse woke up something within you. And this day is like, okay, I'm actually going to do this. And I feel supported in every single way to take this action or to have this belief or to like really initiate this new direction. Yeah, we don't get a lot of positive aspects during eclipse season, but this is a good one. And this is, Jupiter's really expanding the sun in Virgo and it's really expanding your Virgo energy, but not in a way that's draining. And then the moon is supporting Jupiter. So I just think it's going to be a nice energy, which is, it's nice to be able to say, yeah, there's like pleasant energy after an eclipse because generally you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's also nice too. I mean, they're only like 2 degrees apart. Mercury is like almost right there too, next to the sun. And it,
Right.
you know, um, in a happy place in Virgo. So I think that also is a pretty nice aspect that is happening.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
yeah, cool. I mean, hopefully it'll be a good day and, feelings will be enjoyable.
Is supportive. Yeah, this would mean Mercury on the next day, on the 12th, that Friday, then actually makes the same exact aspect to Jupiter, where it sextiles Jupiter again, both at 19, and we still get the moon lingering in Taurus. So that's so nice. Um, I mean, not for the entire day, the moon will probably move to Gemini, but that's not the worst. But again, like really good information, really good ideas, kind of sparking up, feeling expansive with the energy or the information that you're gathering or how you're communicating. And just like all this changes. It just seems like if the Pisces eclipse did bring a lot of change, it's change that you're willing to embrace and like go forward with, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I kind of like want to rope in the next aspect with this
Yeah,
because
we can go ahead. It's so close anyway.
yeah, so Mercury is going to conjunct the sun on the following day, which is a Mercury Cazimi. So I feel like we're like just like gassing up for this like really big mental breakthrough. I feel like there's just like a lot of positive momentum happening, and it could be like Mercury sextiles Jupiter, the information is gathering. And then the following day, when Mercury conjuncts the sun, we have this like big breakthrough of like, wow, I didn't realize that this was possible, or like it's just something that I hadn't considered to do in the past, and this all happening in the sphere of Virgo is like just really positive for gathering accurate information, even. So I think like whatever information you do gather on this day, unless it like negatively aspects your chart in some way or another, I think can probably be pretty trusted.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a really important insight, and it is related a bit to the Mercury retrograde we had in Leo in August, as like this is the conjunction after the retrograde where it kind of integrates all the information. And
Yeah.
yeah, I do think it's going to be a lot of really deeper understanding of like what you can control, what is important to you, and feeling like you can align with it very quickly and have all this insight. Like I do, yeah, a breakthrough is a really good way to describe it. And yeah, I don't know, I'm weirdly cautious about this week because it's like it really is just positive aspects. But
Yeah, it
like
feels.
I just don't feel like that's the overall energy for September though.
Yeah, yeah, I can understand. Yeah, well, maybe it's like, just a little diamond in the rough, like we'll give you this week and, you know,
Right.
but it kind of it really matters too, like how it's aspecting your personal chart. Like at this point, the sun and Mercury will be opposite my Venus, within
Hmm.
a couple degrees. So, oppositions are obviously sometimes a bit of a strain. So yeah, it's just interesting like how it'll manifest is different for each person, but collectively I think it should be more on the positive side.
Yeah, there's just something going well for once, but um don't worry, Saturn will dampen the party next week. So I think it's like it's not like it's a long-lasting thing, and these are really quick transits, and I think like whenever Mercury is involved, it's always really quick transits. The sun is a little bit slower, but like with Mercury's transits, I do think sometimes we can overhype them a bit, but like quick transits can just be like really just getting, the information you want, that letter in the mail that you needed, or like the right text message that you needed to get or hear, like small things that are actually very important long term, but it's not like your entire day is building from that. Like I just feel like Mercury is those quick little messages or the quick days where you like organized a whole room in your house and it felt really good, or um I just want to keep that in mind because I just like I like Mercury and Virgo. I love it, but it's so fast. Like it's never like it's not like Pluto's aspects.
Yeah. Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah. So it might be, yeah, just like a quick little thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, still nice. Still better
Right.
than transit, you know.
Yeah.
Like evil sometimes. So, um, yeah, we'll have to like take note of like what happens this week. What I was thinking when you were talking is Chris Brennan talks a lot about these like auspicious dates because he does like electoral charts and stuff.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and
I wonder if he picked the 11th. I bet he did.
right, yeah, and he'll like be like, if you want to start a project, like this is a really good auspicious date to like create this project. So anyways, besides the fact that we have eclipses, which, like Maddie said, are like not great for starting things, there could be some like really good energy to at least focus on like long-standing projects, or
Mhm.
like just put in some. some effort into things that maybe you haven't been hopeful of before, but maybe this week feels like a little bit like, okay, I can be more hopeful and maybe I can tackle some of the smaller tasks that I wasn't doing because I didn't have any hope that it would actually even work. So I think that could be, like a nice spin on things.
Yeah, yeah, it seems like it's positive for that. So, I don't know, just enjoy it. I mean, things can change a lot during eclipses, but it seems like whatever does happen will have a positive outcome or a positive result to it. So, you just have to kind of look at it from that lens as you're going through this week and then notice what's kind of really, really bringing up for you, especially in the Virgo, but also the Pisces axis. And then you're getting more information about how the next eclipse will play into this whole story. So just, journal, reflect, and all that will help you.
Okie
Yeah.
dokie. I think that's all for
Right. Yeah.
uh,
If you want to see more content from us, then follow us on YouTube or TikTok or on Instagram at Two Girls Talk Transits. And we'll see y'all next week.
yeah.